going to be replacing the carburetor on this Echo PB 9010T. This blower has 828.9 hours. So let me tell you real fast what's going on with it. For the last 30 hours of use, every 10 hours it's fouling spark plugs out. I replaced the air filter, I replaced the fuel filter, I checked to make sure everything's tight, and replaced the spark plug. I did that 10 hours ago, and on the very last job of the day yesterday, it was running perfectly fine, and then all of a sudden started bogging, and throttle was really not responding, and then it died, and then it will not restart. Now, if I take the spark plug out, which we're going to be doing, and replace it with a new one, it will run perfectly fine like it's brand new. I use 50-to-1 Amsoil Sabre in 90 octane ethanol free fuel. This goes through about 5 or 6 tanks of fuel a week. We go through probably about 8 gallons of premix a week. So the fuel and oil mixture is never more than a week old, and I have about 15 pieces of equipment that run on this mix, and everything's running perfectly fine, no problem at all. My other 9010T runs perfectly fine, and so I know a lot of people go, well, it's your mixture and all that. In this case, it's not. So I'm going to show you the plug when I pull it out, but I'm going to remove the cover, and then we're going to take the exhaust off right here. We're going to look at the screen. I don't think there's anything wrong with the screen, but we're going to check it anyway. And I have a brand new factory Echo carburetor to go on here. Now, just as a side note, I sold my friend 2 8010Ts that I bought brand new, and he's still using them, and they have more than 2,000 hours each on them. So these are extremely durable, but you know, they're mechanical devices, and sometimes they will fail. So Bliss, I believe, takes a T27. There's a couple bolts here that hold this cover on. We're going to remove that, and we'll be right back. All right, so there are 4 screws that hold this together, and normally if you do this will just pull away, but I have the coil to my meter wrapped around this, and I didn't want to disconnect it, so that's plenty of room. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to look at this screen right here. Is a star bit right there, Torx bit. Let's see, that is that's a T25. Okay, and then this should just slide out. All right, so there is a little bit of carbon on there. We're going to clean that out, but I'm going to say it's probably 40% clogged with carbon. It's not bad at all. All right, so I'm going to clean this up with some brake parts cleaner, and I'm going to come back and we'll show you what it looks like after it's done. All right, so I'm going to show you guys a little trick. You can take some brake parts cleaner and clean this if you want, but you can also take a MAP gas torch or a propane torch, and you can burn the carbon. It'll just disappear. Just heat it till it's red hot and glowing like that. It's not going to hurt the screen. The carbon will burn off. There's a little piece right here. See, it just falls off. Now that's 100% clean. You can replace the screen if you want, but yeah, it's already cool to the touch, so it doesn't hurt this whatsoever. I don't recommend you remove this screen. So Alright, so what I'm going to do, just going to slide this right back in there, like that, and we'll just tighten this back up. I will tell you that I've seen lots and lots and lots of pictures of lesser oils that you use in your premix that clog these things up like at the 30-hour mark. It's crazy. There's probably not going to be any noticeable difference in running because it, you know, was only about 40% clogged. There may be a little bit, but anyway, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to leave this cover off, and I'm going to get a flat bladed screwdriver or a nut driver, and I'm going to remove this intake boot and show you what that looks like next. Alright, so if you want to use a nut driver, this is just a 5/16. I prefer using these over flat bladed screwdrivers just because they're a little quicker to take that loose. Alright, so just rock it back and forth like that and it'll pop off. Alright, so this is off. Now we have, there's a Torx bit right there and one right there. These are not on there very tight. I'm going to pause right there. I'm going to pop this cover off right here. I'm going to open the throttle, pop the cable off like that. Then I'm going to get, I believe it's a 10 or 11 millimeter, and loosen that and slide that away from the carburetor bracket. There we go. Alright, so basically that's all it takes. So that's loose. Alright. Now. Alright. Now there's a gasket that just fell right here. Don't lose that because that goes from the intake to the carburetor. And then here's the carburetor. Now I find it easier to remove these two fuel lines when this is off. There's just more room to get your hand. So take this paper towel, just lay this right like that. Take a little brake parts cleaner, clean the lines off. Okay. If you use ethanol-free fuel, your lines will, these lines are still nice and flexible. Okay, so got our carburetor. Gonna open it up. Fresh in the wrapper. These things are cheap enough to where there's no need to buy an Amazon carburetor. I have used Amazon carburetors on Echoes before, and they were all right. But anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and hook up the lines. All right. So that's what we've got so far. Need to make sure to, these gaskets are very robust and durable, so this one's nice and clean. So the one with the two holes in the bottom right here is the one that goes on the back of the carburetor to the intake. And before I put this on, I want to make sure that this gasket is here, right? You see this one's different, it doesn't have the two holes. I'm going to take this off real quick And I'm just going to take some carburetor or brake parts cleaner and clean this out, and we'll be right back. Alright, so that's on there. Everything looks good. I'm going to take the carburetor throttle cable. Okay, so we'll check that again. Okay, good. All right. Next thing we want to do is I'm going to clean this boot out off camera, and then we'll reinstall the boot back onto the housing there. I want to make sure that it seats all the way to the edge there and right up so there's no space there. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my finger right here, and basically I'll show you, I'm just going to go right here on the primer bulb, and we're just going to make sure that the bulb will draw fuel up, and it is. Okay, that's good. All right, next I'm going to go grab the appropriate wrench or a socket, and we'll remove the spark plug. All right, so pull this spark plug out. I mean, it's got a little carbon on it. It's weird that it doesn't take much for these not to fire. All right, I've got the factory NGK spark plug. Here's the new one. Here's the old one. All right, so we'll just slide that. So I'm going to take the cover, slide this back on. All right, so I've got everything back together. We're ready to start it. One thing that I wanted to show you guys that I noticed. See how this is actually not a choke, it's called an enrichment lever. And basically what it does is it lifts this assembly up like that. Okay? If you notice on this old carburetor, you see how this screw right here? Right here, that's the idle screw. See how this thing, it goes all the way back, and this is really loose and wobbly. All this is just, it's like a little cam that lifts this up like this. But if you look at the new one, obviously it's not worn, but this lever does not go all the way back. See how much space there is between the screw? See, there's no space there, so I think this is just from wear. I don't think this is not, whether it's here or here, is not lifting this this needle up. So that's just one thing to be aware of. All right, well, let's put this thing on the ground. All right, so I've already primed it. I'm going to put the, everybody calls it the choke. Put the choke on, make sure it's, we'll see how many pulls it takes. All right, it popped off, so hit it once. That is like night and day. The other thing that I noticed is that sometimes when it was warming up, it would smoke just a little bit. No smoke. That was 100% worth the $65 I paid for this carburetor. So we're going to put this cap back. This just goes right here. Just clips down. You need to, if you don't have that, please go and get it, because that keeps dirt and debris out of the pivoting mechanism. That blower's running good. Hey, if you have any other questions, if you have experienced any problems like this with either an 8010 or a 9010, or maybe you've got another brand, like a Red Max or Steel or anything like that, please leave that down in the comments below and tell me what happened and were you able to fix it. Or if you've had this problem happen and you took it to the dealer and they charged you to fix it, how much was it? Anyway, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will talk to you on the next one.